Okay, welcome everybody to the February 17th Select Board meeting. Will you join me in saying the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up as usual is the general fund warrant, and Brian has those.
All right, general fund warrant. Let's see here. That was dated, February 17th. The total amount is lower than usual, which is always nice to see. The total is $39,823.25. Really, the only big item of note was the Compass Minerals, which looks like for salt and sand of that amounts about 60% of the total, or $23,698 or so. Everything else looked in order. So with that said, I'd make a motion to pass the general fund warrant with $39,823.25.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Jeff, you have a couple papers?
Yep, I have two payroll warrants. The first one is dated February 2026, and that one's in the amount of $45,702.85, and that includes the payroll for the fire department. And the second warrant is dated February 13th, 2026, and that one is in the amount of $30,513 even, and I would make a motion that we pass these as presented.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is the miscellaneous ones.
Okay, we got the industrial park warrant in the amount of $1,231.16, and that's mostly for electric for signs and sewage pump, and the Champlain Associates for $385. That's part of that. And the next one's the stormwater utility warrant in the amount of $84,355.29. And it looks like it's mostly for engineering. Is that correct, Casey?
Yeah.
And what's the
Um,
city of St. Albans business?
Well, the engineering, ECI, that's for the Clyde Allen Drive project, and the East Basin is the Aldrich and Elliott. City of St. Albans invoice. I don't, is that that's
Okay.
the diversion canal? Yep.
Yeah, I see it here.
Yep.
50% reimbursed. Yep. And the last one is impact fee warrant. An amount of $2,443.50. Again, some engineering from Mumley for $945, and a tree service in connection with taking down the dead ash trees, $1,498. So I move that we approve these three miscellaneous warrants.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on from that, you have the minutes in your packet of February 2nd, 2026. Nobody has any changes. Would someone like to make a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Public comment. Anybody in the audience want to come up for public comment? Come on up.
Dave Bray, town resident.
Howdy.
It's a procedural question. In the past, there was a vote that was held when the select board decided to give $25,000 to the museum, and it passed by the town. I'm just curious, after last week's meeting, there were some big expenditures that were discussed, the health path, which I think there's a lot of support for, and the Bay Marina launch. Just curious, if those come up, will that be presented to the town for a vote? It's a large sum of money.
I don't know. It depends on how we fund it, right?
Yeah, so where we're at with the marina, or not the marina, the boat launch that you talked about. We're going to be into the phase of putting it out to bid for an engineer to take a look at it. That's the next phase of it. So we won't know what the cost for that will be or how we'll pay for it yet until we know exactly what the project will look like. So eventually that'll probably depend on if we go with that. We'll let you know on that. The bike and ped path, we are going out for a grant with the federal government, a build grant, and Kevin's going to go over that tonight. So maybe he'll answer some of your questions there, but there will be a small portion of money that we will consider putting down for that grant. If we get the grant, we don't know if we got the grant yet. We haven't even, it's due next Tuesday. Yeah, we're going to try to have it in this Friday and it's due next Tuesday. So we're going to be putting that one in, and that lump of money that we will have to cover will be hopefully paid for out of stormwater utility and the LOT. So we'll keep you posted on that. I'm not sure. I don't know if that'll come to a vote or not. But those are still, we're not in the phases yet of paying for those. But I hear your question. We'll be completely open with that when we make those decisions. Hopefully we get the grant. Kevin's going to give us a great presentation on it. Megan's here as well. She's been working on the grant with Kevin. So they'll be able to answer those questions too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anybody on Zoom like to make a public comment?
Their hand up.
Oh, yes,
That's my hand.
Your hand? Oh, okay, gotcha.
okay, moving on. Would somebody like to make a motion to recess the select board meeting and convene as the liquor control board? So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. So I'm just gonna read these off. There's 7 of them, and then if somebody like to make a motion to approve those 7. So we have AA and CLLC, which is known as the Colonial Mart. We have a second class license there, a tobacco license and a tobacco substitute. Price Chopper, second class license. Bubba Duffers, first class license, third class license, and outside consumption. I would assume, Anna, that all these applicants are no violations. Perfect. Having said that, would somebody like to make a motion to approve those 7 licenses?
I'll make that motion to approve all 7 for AA and C, Price Chopper and Bubba Duffers.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. Thank you. Now, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn the liquor control board and reconvene as the select board?
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next up, we're gonna be talking about that build grant that Casey just touched upon, and Kevin McLear is gonna give us a
Yeah. So last
update on that.
last meeting, you guys asked us, how that price is going to break down and what it's going to look like, what it could cost for the town. And Kevin and Megan have been working on this grant pretty much a lot of their time this week to try to get this, because it's a pretty large sum of money and it'd really benefit St. Albans Town if we could get it for a very cheap price. And so I'll let them take over. Is there anything you want on the screen, or are you gonna just go?
Share the map of projects, not for the packet, but you know.
Yeah, the map is in the select
Map
board
would be
pack.
cool to put up.
The last page of our memo to the select board.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that on this computer.
I can start too. So, or do you want to start? No, you go. So the Health Path is the #1 ranked project, bike ped project in our bike and ped plan, and it's actually top 5 projects because it's divided into segments. Normally for a bike ped project, you would get a TA grant through Vermont Agency of Transportation. Those are capped at 600,000. So to try and build a project like this, stringing together multiple TA grants over years and years would be pretty difficult. So this one grant, it's called a build grant directly through the United States Department of Transportation. And so it's kind of a unique opportunity where we can request this grant actually has a max of 25. We're not 25 million. We're not getting anywhere near that. but it's a big enough sum where we could actually try and tackle the whole project at once with one funding source, one grant. It's more, there's the application process is a little bit, it's a higher bar where we're have to really develop our arguments and present our arguments about why it's such a strong project. Really relies on letters of support, public engagement, and then the merit of what you're trying to do. So the more we've written this application, I think the stronger we feel our project is. So we're actually feeling pretty positive about it right now. There are couple things we wanted to bring to the board to discuss. I attached a cost estimate in here. It's around $5 million, but those are very rough numbers. We met with our engineer today. We had to do a benefit cost analysis to say, how much is the project going to cost? What kind of benefits are you going to get? And do you clear a hurdle of, is it a worthwhile project? And so some of the benefits are you're reducing accidents. Are you improving stormwater? There's all these, we needed an engineer consultant to help us with that process because it's fairly specific and labor intensive. But this 5 million also includes the East Basin Stormwater Project, and that is a $1 million standalone stormwater project. But part of this application, one of the merit criteria is environmental sustainability, and it talks about flood control, improving flood resilience against extreme weather events. And so we think adding that actually makes our application a little bit stronger. We met with our engineer today, and the numbers that they've crunched based on the cost estimate, based on the benefit, we are above the hurdle where we need to be to show that it's a worthwhile project. So that's a good sign. And then we're gonna just finally kind of stitch everything together. But one of the things we wanted to ask you and get your feedback on is, in this build grant program, we talked about this at the last meeting, as a rural community, and pretty much all of Vermont is considered a rural community in this application, is we could actually request 100%. So we could say, we're a rural community, we would like to fund this project through DOT at 100%. But in the application, the NOFA, it actually does say the department considers an application's federal share as a competitive selection factor. So, it's tempting to just say, yeah, 100%, give us 100%. But if we didn't get the project because we asked for 100, maybe 90-10, so that's the cost share. So if we give 90-10 is the grant pays $9, we pay $1. Typical projects through V-Trans are 80-20, so they pay 80, we pay 20. So even the 90-10 is a good cost share. But we went back and forth like 100%. We'd hate to lose the application because we asked for 100 when we feel like we have a strong application, a strong project. We are rural, so we don't necessarily have to go to 80-20. And so we're recommending 90-10, but we really wanted to make sure that we're running it by the select board as well, part of that process.
That's a quick question.
Yeah.
Are those splits locked in, or could you do 85-15? Just curious.
Yeah, I think you can do whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the round numbers will, yeah, I think that's fine. I think the round numbers are more recognizable, and I think every invoice you get, you're gonna be doing 90-10,
Gotcha.
90-10.
I mean, I've obviously thought a lot about it last time. We've had this project out there for a while. The fact that there's a big stormwater component to me is good too. I mean, you're saying it helps out with the reasoning to try to get it. But I mean, I keep thinking about this, and to me, this is just me talking, and love to hear some other folks. But if we thought it increased our chances meaningfully, I mean, I'd rather go 80-20 and have it there, knowing that if it's 5 million and we get to come up with $1 million over the course of the next, it looks like, 5 years or so, right? We could use, I mean, legitimately, we could pay for almost most of it with stormwater. Not that I'm saying that's what we should do, but we could probably pay a good chunk with just stormwater utility. Not more than the stormwater costs, obviously, right? But
Yeah,
pay for, we could split it between LOT and stormwater is what I'm saying. It would give us years to do it and we would get a major project done. These are the things I know where we've done studies in the past that, economic studies on what this does for bringing people in and, going through. Love seeing the map as well, the course of where this would go through, especially around the Hardak area. I mean, it looks like there's kind of, cuts right around Hardak, right through the middle and out and about. So that's just my 2 cents right now. If all things being equal, unless there's something else, I mean, I know it's nice to put down 1 and get 9, but putting down 2 and getting 8, if I'm more likely to get that, seems like a pretty good idea too.
yeah,
I guess I would say, how bad do we want it?
right.
The more we want it, the more we put in. We don't really care, which I don't think is the case, then go 100% zero, and there's a good chance we don't get it. But if it's something we want to hang our hat on, then 80-20, and then at least we can say we did what we could. If we don't get it, we gave it our best shot. That's where I fall. on that.
Is that, $1 million? Seems like, to me, voters ought to have a say in that, because it is their money
Mhm.
that we're putting down, so. How does that work with this application if we need voter approval or we ask for voter approval and we don't get it, then the grant goes away? But,
Well-
to me, rather than say, oh, we went $1 million.
Yeah. The good news is there's time on this because I believe they won't even pick a winner until September of this year. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's what it looked, I mean, in the app.
In the application, I think it was in September. That's when they pick it.
June was the announcement.
June's the announcement. So we do have time after, if we get it, where we could always take this out for a vote.
Well, we're
Um,
not gonna have a special, like, we spent money before, and I'm pretty sure if we use LLT, we don't go to the taxpayers. Like, we just approved a grant a meeting or 2 ago. We didn't go to the taxpayers on that, no matter what the amount is.
Mhm.
There's nothing that says that you have to, that's why they
Correct.
elected us. to Make the decision.
Mhm.
That's good. That's my take.
Mhm.
Maybe
Well, I'm just thinking back to the stormwater part. I mean, if we forego this grant or don't get it, we still have the East Basin we got to pay for. Right? I mean, it doesn't go away. So this is, to me, again, just a bonus in there that if we could take care of it with that, with stormwater dollars. And then the LOT, I mean, again, because it's over time, if we don't have to pay for the whole thing for 5 years, we're looking at
And if you look at the
maybe
break,
100,000 a year out of the LOT over
Yeah.
the next 5 years.
yeah, and that's what if you look at
And
this.
100,000 out
in
of the
your packet,
stormwater.
It shows you right here on the non-federal funds, that 10% is what we would pay. So if we met them with 10%, the first year, we'd only have to pay, 150, 157, the next year, 110, the next year, 230. So it would be less than just saying 500 or $1 million. It would be less every year
Mhm.
that we do it.
I mean, I guess the hard part, you don't know, because you said that last time, but back to what Jeff was alluding to, how many extra chances do we get if we do 80-20? You know what I mean? Is it
I wish I.
yeah, it's a tiny bit more, or is it like, wow, that's really meaningful? It's, it'd be nice to know that.
If the town was awarded the grant, we could respectfully decline later. Like if there's a lot of pushback from the public that thinks this is a horrible idea, we don't have to take the grant. We aren't committed to the grant until we
Yeah.
And
commit.
you can figure out
We're just-
when, how to pay for it later. I mean, if you need it.
And if we decide that we can't pay for it later, we can always just shelve it. Like,
Yeah, so if
We
we
learned a
did
lot.
get an award or an award letter in June, they said.
Right.
We've looked at all the projects where we've gonna give you an award letter. You have to then enter into a grant agreement with DOT.
correct.
So, yeah, if you can't come to terms on the grant agreement, which is largely based on your application,
Right.
then you don't You gotta turn in an agreement. period.
Right, you just don't enter in
Yeah.
even,
So
and you-
we
and you
could-
walk away from it.
If we decided to go and get voter permission, we could probably do that in November. I mean, we got other things we
Yeah.
wanna do too, so. I hate to leave yourself short, like the fire station that we're talking about.
The schedule is tight on these projects, and I think it's by design. They wanna, if you get an award, they want you to move. You know, like they don't want a project to last 15 years. So we would essentially be having to authorize for construction, which means you've designed the project, you've got all your right of way, your permits are all in place, and then you go to construction. This whole thing would have to be going to construction by 2030. And then we have to spend the money by 2035. So that's not as concerning, but the 2030 will potentially come up pretty quick.
Do you know, Kevin, off the top of your head, separating this project out completely? How much is it gonna cost the stormwater utility to do the East Basin?
That project is $1 million. And we applied for a TA grant through V-Trans, which we haven't heard from yet, for $600,000. So even if we wanted to go ahead with that project, and we weren't able to come to some agreement with V-Trans to do some cost sharing, splitting, which hasn't been the case yet, that would be essentially a 60-40 project, 600 to 400,000.
How much of that $1 million project would be covered by this 5 million if it were to be covered in here, the whole thing, or are we talking just part of it?
It would be the same ratio of whatever we ask for the split on the whole project.
No, but I mean, I'll re-ask that again. So East Basin, if we did it standalone by itself, it's about $1 million. We'd pay 400,000 if we got that grant. If we didn't, if we set that aside for a second and we're doing this, build grant, and it was passed, of that $5 million that's in here, is that some of that covering the entire East Basin project?
Yeah, we included the whole thing.
Okay, so I'm just saying, right, so if we didn't do this and we did the other way, we'll probably pay 400,000. If we do this grant here, could pay 500,000, get the East Basin done and the whole thing, or do 80-20, pay $1 million. It's only 600,000 more, the way I'm breaking it in my head as a component to get the rest of the whole path. Does that, what I just said, make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing to consider is that we don't have that other grant. So
Yeah.
the best we're gonna do is 400,000.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. We haven't been.
It
awarded
could be
the
nothing
TA. Yeah.
too. I
Yeah.
mean, just.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we kind of really tried to play up in the application for the East Basin, include it or don't include it in the application. We ended up including it. It's MS4 requirement, downstream resilient infrastructure. The flooding is having downstream issues in the city and Tanglewood. So it's been a long time coming. And so,
Yeah, I mean, this is like I don't say the headwaters, but this is like the headwaters of
yeah.
all the stormwater system, as I understand it. As
it
it
is.
goes
Yeah.
down from St. Albans Hill all the way to the lake.
Yeah.
So you need a motion, for what percentage? Or do you just want consensus? What are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really need a motion. I think we've got some really good ideas of what you're thinking. It would be nice to, if you'd rather the 80-20, I think Kevin and Megan were looking at it and, we thought 10 would have been a sweet spot considering the size alone. If it was a little bit more, we probably would have put a little more skin into the game, but 500,000 for a $5 million loan seemed pretty good for a rural community to put that kind of money aside. So that's why we said 10. I didn't expect let's do 20. So it's always better if we can, but I mean, I don't even know if it's better if we can, because we don't know what
Yeah,
they're
but
gonna.
I mean.
We just know that,
80/20, is it
Yeah.
a little bit better looking or is it triple? Is it, you know what I mean?
like, if there's a town that's the same size of us and, on the west coast that applies for this, do they get a better advantage if they put, same size project?
What's the start date?
That depends when you sign your grant agreement.
Okay.
So if you can't incur any expenses until you enter into agreement, and so that might be October, November this year.
So that would be like engineering and,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be digging until a year.
No, I was thinking, we put it together a schedule too, and ideally it would be, so segment one is MVRT to Hardack. Then the next one is Hardack to
Upper Weldon, I think it said.
and then the last one is Upper Weldon to Collins Curly. And we we're thinking that's kind of, those are all manageable size construction projects for a construction season for a town of our size. Also good, better cash flow management than having this whole thing in one season.
I was thinking too, Kevin, with going that direction too. I mean, I feel like I'd love it if it went the other way instead, but I think leaving the crossing, the sash till the last thing seems to would make more sense for
I think it gives.
doing a
V-Trans
project
some-
now and having to redo it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and it gives V-Trans time, hopefully, to to do what they need to do at that intersection, knowing that we're approaching.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, can I ask another question? Maybe, I know you've been working on this for a while, a couple of years anyway. On the map part, do we, is that path good, like, in terms of speaking with property owners? I know for a while it looked really good, but maybe there was.
We're really close. There's 18 properties, which is a really small number for this length of,
3.5.
of path.
Yeah, 3.5.
And majority of them are the hospital. They're on board. The city's on board. Sam Smith is on board. The large parcel owners, the smaller parcel owners have all been notified and have talked to when we did the scoping study. So they've all been notified. They know the project is being looked at. And I have reached out to a couple of them since we've been applying for this to even get letters of support from the church that's along the way and the home health and stuff. So they're aware of it. And as far as I know, there was one during the scoping study, there was one property owner who wasn't super excited about the project. And out of
That's one
18.
at the end by 105.
Yeah,
That
mhm.
farm.
The farm. Yeah, so, and it wasn't even
Is she on board?
full conversation. No, we haven't had a conversation. We would like to really, I guess, get the line, like where it would be on her property or have options for her to look at before we asked you to come with us to help talk to her.
And when she came and she was like, yeah, there's like 18, I was like, kind of blew my mind because it's 3.2 miles. I was expecting a lot more property owners, but 18 seems pretty manageable.
And the city
Yeah,
has
but doesn't it only
60.
take one though?
Yeah.
You gotta swing 18 times and hit it every time.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd go for 80/20.
Okay.
That's my
I mean,
opinion,
it's.
but
Cause
if we're gonna do it, you might as well go for it, right? That's my take on it. I mean, because even with the LOT, what is there, like 3 million in there right now, just a little underneath it? Next year at this time, if you don't spend $1 of it, there'll be just about another million, because you're about $1.25 million every year right now, roughly. So I don't think we have a shortage of funds to build a fire department to do that, and to make that grant match, to do something with this over here, like. There's all kinds of funds and we keep sitting on them.
Yeah.
And I know it's nice having it in the bank, but it wasn't made to be sitting in the bank.
Correct.
So I'm 80/20. And if we don't get it, that means we just
Right.
do other projects.
you don't want to get a rejection letter. It says your cost share wasn't high enough.
Yeah,
And we had the money
Yeah.
to make up the
To do it,
difference.
because it ain't like we're not creating a short, and then even if we used $100,000 or $1 million, right? 20% would be $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, you could pay 500,000 from stormwater if whoever the board at the
Yep.
time decide
Yep.
to get to, hey, if that's what it takes to move the project forward. That's what it takes, and, you know, there's different funding sources.
And like you said, it's every year. We add more to that LOT too. And we're splitting this up over, 3-4 years, depending on,
But your
on how it
match has
looks.
to be all upfront, right? I would assume.
No, it's.
Oh, it is in phases?
Segmented, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's-
So
that's
even
the-
better.
That's the
Yeah.
good part about it
So
is
it's
we
kind of
don't,
like how we pay for the town hall, is $250,000
Yeah.
a year, and we got whatever, 6, 7, 8 years left on it.
I mean, the other way, I look at it, the flip side of what we're paying for it is, we're asking for 4 million or 4.5 million. Pretty happy if we get either one, really.
Yeah, yeah, and I was telling Casey too, like even as part of this, we're in communication with our federal delegation too, and our state delegation, so we're talking about this project a lot.
Mhm.
And like, I hope we get it, like if we apply, it would be a nice big swing and a win, but even if we didn't get it, we've had some broader conversations about this, and even if we didn't get it, the first conversation might be to some of our delegation, like, really tried hard on this one, didn't get it. Can we talk about other approaches to what are the next steps to move forward?
Have you done any research on what our yearly obligation is gonna be for maintenance?
Yeah, we have,
Cause it all falls on us, right?
it does.
Hmm.
It does. We have to maintain whatever we build, naturally. And yes, we have to include that in our merit criteria, and there was a number that was given to me today, but I'm like blanking on it right now from our engineer. Because they use V-Trans and Lamoille Valley Rail Trail have a dollar amount per mile per year that they use, and so I'm just blanking on it right now.
yeah, like the meeting was at 3 when they told you that. It was, yeah, so.
Yeah, but in the winter time, do they plow and salt that? Like in Colchester, they don't.
But yeah, probably not
Bigger
the
pavement.
Cisco valve.
Plow it, but it's 10 foot wide, designed for pickup truck plow, V plow.
If you don't go here, your liability's gonna be. If you don't make.
Yeah, I know.
How wide, this one's gonna be like 3 or 4, how wide is this one, 6 feet?
10 feet.
10 feet,
10.
10 feet, okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you want it? Yeah.
I mean, we can, did they send us anything on that or did they just say it over the phone or on the Teams? Did they write it? Is it something we can get them tonight?
It's the benefit cost analysis.
Well, the maintenance,
Oh,
number
she was verbal.
is verbal.
Yeah.
So we can find that out again. Like I can we can reach out to them tonight and send you
Maybe
something
just
over
basically
tomorrow.
Running a truck down and back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think eventually you may have to repave it.
That'll be a big one.
That's it. Yeah. We talked about the name a little bit too. It's referred to as the health path, but we're kind of thinking maybe a different name.
You had down here with a question mark, right? St. Albans Path,
SAP.
which I thought was SAP, but then I was thinking, what if it was St. Albans Health Path? And you could still call it the acronym SAP. And it could still be a SAP run if you ran the whole thing, right? Just an idea.
Yeah,
SAHP, SAP.
yeah, yeah,
So just throwing that.
Yeah.
out anyway.
yeah.
I'm trying to fit community in
Yeah.
there too, but it threw my whole thing off, so.
Funny to, they, with different administrations, they focus on different things and, one of the things that they said, they're really focused, this administration's really focused on growth, growth centers, connections, not so much health and pedestrians. And so we had originally called it the health path, and then it changed to the growth center connection path. And that almost sounded like a strange medical term. So then we came up with SAP, the St. Albans pedestrian path with 2 Ps, and then shortened it, but I think including the health path will still link it back to that study.
Yeah.
St. Albans Health Path was called the SAP.
Yeah, yeah.
SAP, it still says SAP, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
All right, so what are, 80/20, is that what we're?
I mean,
like
if,
that.
I wish I knew the formula on how much extra it gave
Yeah.
us, but that's, I mean, just for leveraged dollars.
Yeah.
Considering again, again, I don't think we can ignore the fact that that stormwater thing is 20% of it. Kind of like, we'll fix the stormwater thing and you guys build us a path from the Collins Pearly to the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail. Breaking, in my mind, like, yeah, that sounds like a good
Yeah.
deal. We gotta do the stormwater anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm good with 80/20 on a project like this that encompasses that stormwater piece.
Perfect, thank you.
I guess my only problem
ahead.
is, maybe I've been around too long. But in all my history here in town, we always asked the voters when we were spending money.
We're not spending a dime.
Well, you say we're not, but I think we are, but, maybe we don't do that anymore. I mean, we've been pretty successful in everything we want, asked for.
Mhm.
Just seems to me like a courtesy. This is who we represent.
It's a courtesy until it gets shot down by people that don't want it, like, just for the wrong reasons. There's a reason why, housing shortage, there's a reason why there's not any new businesses in the industrial part. So I'm gonna say 80, I'm not gonna go any deeper in that to it, but there's a reason why there's things in this town that we should have, we shouldn't have, but yet we have today, I don't know, $6 million in the bank. Like, it makes no sense to me why we keep collecting tax, but we don't spend it. Like, we owe it to the people that pay the taxes to spend it, like that we said we're gonna spend it, we got a list of projects, 30, 40 deep, that we haven't even started. Makes no sense. So, and this is one of them. Like, unless you wanna just take all those projects and do away with the planning commission, cause we're not gonna plan ahead, just gonna sit here and throw money in the bank. That's just the way I feel about it, and I'm the most conservative guy that probably is sitting in this room, I'm one of them. But like, at some point, you gotta keep growing, because if you don't keep growing, you're gonna end up with a $2, maybe $3 tax rate, and it's coming.
I'm just thinking of the funding sources we have. I mean, we do the stormwater utility, that money's, everyone's paying their $50 in. That $1 million project is one that we're required to do. So I don't want to negate to me how important that part of the project is for the rationale to do this and why it's economically, I think, feasible too. That's $1 million project. We're thinking of throwing $1 million in, we got to do it anyway. If we're paying with the stormwater, then the rest is LOT, and it is our taxpayers' money. Fortunately, it wasn't funded all by our taxpayers. It's funded by everyone who shops in Walmart and shops around town, which is a lot of local people here, but other folks outside of it too. We're fortunate to have that. And my understanding, the foresight of the folks in 2014 when they got the LOT in was to be able to do projects like this where we don't have to increase the tax rate. I've already seen on Facebook, boat launch or these projects, and they're like, there's this tax rate's gonna skyrocket. Well, it's not, because we have an LOT, thank God. And we do have a lot of money in there. And we've always heard from our reps who come back from Montpelier, Rep Dickinson, Rep Toof. Don't let that sit there very long, because people down in Montpelier are gonna see that and take it away from you if it's not allocated somewhere. So I think using it on a project like this makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. I don't have to pay for maintenance. I know that. I don't have to pay for snow plowing either, but we need to do that because we'll have the roads. Again, I don't know when you pull it up right now or anything, but these kind of things, it amazed me when I saw a report, I think when I first got on the board like 5 or 6 years ago, about a project. Maybe it was one that was almost similar to this. The economic impact that this brings in, it's something like $150,000 or $200,000 a year, something that this brings in for people coming in, spending money at the store, all the things you forget about convenience stores, the restaurant, you know, all of those things. Could increase property values a little bit, maybe, I don't know. But I just think it's, for the cost of what we're getting, the fact that we can split it with two different funding sources, one of which we're gonna have to use anyway. You know, as I try to break it down, in a way, it's kind of asking for, we need $500,000 probably out of the LOT, you know, to get this whole path up. So that's, I feel comfortable with it. I do feel comfortable, you know, I don't like doing a big project without asking folks if it's gonna be extra, especially if it's gonna be extra money that they're gonna have to pay on their property tax bill. But we can do this without having to raise any taxes, I don't even think it's gonna be close. I think we can pay for it, so I do understand what you're saying, Jack. I definitely appreciate that.
I'm not against it, I'm just saying.
Mhm.
In the past, we've always asked. I mean, I'm fine with 80/20. And if we even get it.
If we even get
Yeah.
it.
Seems like there's a long ways to go before we would need to ask if the board wanted to ask. Like, it's not,
Yeah,
there's not,
if we even get it, yeah.
right.
So I should cancel my order for that bike I just bought. Should wait.
Those are my concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Megan. We'll keep you on. You want me to pull yours up now?
Ken, Director of Community Development and the Planning Commission are here to present the transit-oriented development study.
Do I have to share the screen? I have to share the screen, right?
Yes, if you would like the people on Zoom to see.
Actually put this on next. This one?
Yep.
I can't see this thing.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
Hello. Transition from one grant hat to the next, thank you. To the next planning hat and talking about the TOD. So this is just going to be a quick briefing on where we're at with the transit-oriented development study. It is very close to being at the final report, not to being over though. We have the next step after the final report, which is the zoning bylaw recommendation changes that the consultant is going to help us with. So quickly tonight, what I'm going to go over is a project overview, the recommendations, the implementations, and then you guys can have a discussion or ask questions of what you feel, or if you have questions, feel free to interrupt me though. So as you probably know, the study started in July of 2024. We started with Stan Tech at that time. We had the Planning Commission meetings. We had a public survey through the summer, which worked out really well. And then we did public workshops, which was a pretty cool, different thing that we did in the field. We did it at Highgate Commons Shopping Plaza I think they were there for about a week, but we had two different public meetings at that time. We then had another survey afterwards to say, this is what we heard, and this is kind of where the consultant and planning commission is leaning with these items. Do you agree to continue getting that public involvement in such a large study? Then we started working on, and that was through December of 2024. Then we started working on implementation and understanding what we have and where we need to be, or where the state is telling us we need to be with housing, and how we can get there with this transit-oriented development, which is higher densities. It supports transit development, and it brings in, it uses our growth areas as they hopefully are to be used, to not allow the sprawl out into the rest of the town. Things that we heard from the residents are the strengths we have are obviously the lake down here in the bay, job opportunities, affordable area, the healthcare, the school ratings, the small, quiet town. It's safe compared to other areas of the town, the diversified economy that we have, Some of the weaknesses that we heard were lack of sidewalks, access to transit, wayfinding can be improved, the rail trail being improved or expanded upon, more restaurants are wanted. And then other things that the people indicated in the studies and when they were visiting us that they would like is more outdoor seating and restaurants for the 3 months that we have nice weather in Vermont. But it would still be nice. Temporary accommodations for, I believe that's for nurses, or other things, preserving our green space, bike ability, Uber or Lyft access, improving streetscapes, and then better connections around the town. Oh, I think it's on automatic because
Oh, is it going on?
it's really fun, so we should just go with it. What the consultants did is they took what the public said and what the planning commission said, and then they broke us down into 3 sections. We have our gateway areas, which are really car reliant. They're single use. Then we have our single family residential, and then we have our commercial and employment areas. This map indicates those 2 growth areas. On the left is the northern gateway area or growth area, and the south on the right is the southern. These red spots show that buildable area. So these are areas, the green is wetlands or ecologically sensitive areas. The yellow is like a buffer area between those. And then the red is where high density developments can happen. And as you see on the northern side, there's the Franklin Park West area. There's behind Walmart that has some space available beyond the wetlands. And then in front of the Beta, where the smaller circle or the lower circle is like in front of the new Beta Technologies area. On the right side, the southern gateway, you see that Sam Smith property is a big opportunity. And then south of Collins Pearly, there's a big opportunity for development there as well. The recommendations that the consultants and planning commission have come up with are 3 frameworks that we're really working with. Mixed use walkable centers, that's creating those neighborhoods, creating those neighborhoods that people want to move into, don't have to rely on a car to get certain services or stores, things like that. The next is the mobility network, and that's connecting our town, connecting our growth centers, connecting to the city and out of the city. And then the last one is our open space network, to ensure that we are making sure that we have really focused on the environmental side of things. We don't want to lose our stormwater is obviously a big issue. We don't want to lose the opportunity where we're putting too much development in an area that is going to harm the rest of the surrounding areas, but also allow for the higher density uses with those open and green spaces. I'm going to go over quickly both the north and south implementation strategies that we have come up with. So one of the things for the northern mixed use walkable centers would be these regulatory policies allowing by right mixed use development. And that's in the pink and reddish areas around Highgate Commons and in Franklin Park West for those medium density housing areas. We also want to consider or are considering like a gateway overlay district to regulate those areas separate from the rest of the town. We don't know if it's going to be an overlay district or if we're going to rezone. That's the next step of the process for this. But specifically, those regulations would talk about setbacks, parking, and then making sure that there's main street areas, they're walkable, they're inviting. Lastly, it would be to enable development for these mixed use. So allowing our zoning to allow for those developments. For development opportunities, you can kind of see here, this is a very extreme build out of those areas of what could happen over the next long time. So there could be a new plaza in front of the Beta Center. It could be like an innovation center where it does the mixed use, the real mixed use, where first level commercial, second, third, fourth level residential. We want to talk about streetscaping and road diets for Route 7 to include evenly spaced intersections and cross streets, making it more walkable, bringing some of the road or some of the car traffic off of 7 with some of those side street possibilities. And then even a new road possibly on the west side or the wetland area of Route 7. The mixed use and medium density housing will transform the unused portions of the Highgate Commons parking area or back behind that in the Franklin Park West development. And then, like I said a second ago, the new local street parallel to Route 7 that would bring the majority of the traffic that wants to use those businesses or visit those businesses off of Route 7. It will slow traffic down. It'll be less people in one congested area. And then the new infill development with multifamily residential could be in the area. I don't have the mouse to move that, but about by the, I'm gonna move the. minimize that.
Yeah, I think you should be able to minimize it too. Oh, perfect. Okay.
So you can see where the letters are there. The E is the infill development for like by Highgate Commons and Energizer, kind of reimagining that area to be more of a walkable downtown area instead of this. I'm going to drive my car to the specific store I want to go to, get back in my car and leave again. In the southern area or the southern growth area, this again, the same thing, we would allow by right mixed use development with multifamily medium density housing. And then again, consider a growth gateway overlay district zoning regulations for those setbacks, parking, etc. The possibilities that this could include, and you can see here, this is zoomed in on Sam Smith's property, the corner there. The highway is to the right side. But it could be new mixed-use neighborhood centers, medium density residential development, small lot similar to Harbor View, small lot single family, where it is more cottage style homes, neighborhood parks in that area for recreation, community gardens. Still I think it's letter E. Yeah, letter E there along the highway, still have a highway buffer for green infrastructure, stormwater, and to buffer from the issues of living near a highway. And then providing the natural systems, natural trails, and habitat corridors through that area, the southern area. The mobility framework talks about creating the mixed-use walkable street, where you have a street that you can walk on. It feels inviting. There's street trees. There's streetscapes that make it you feel like you're not walking down the side of Route 7 as you are now. But they also recommend doing an access management study of Route 7. There's a lot of driveway connections that can be eliminated if we provide the parallel road, or if we have cross streets that go through. Certain projects that we could do would be to improve the bus stop infrastructure. Currently, there's a bus stop at Highgate Commons that's just in the middle of the parking lot. It's not friendly for anybody involved, but making that safe, weatherproof seating, ADA accessible, things like that. Also, the sidewalk and streetscaping along Route 7. Study the alignment with a possible road, and this is something that the town has done in the past with a possible road on the west side of Route 7. But it definitely wasn't done in the manner of understanding development. It was, it felt like more of a cut through road, trying to get people from Route 7 to the city, but bypassing 7 instead of creating like a parallel network that creates more of like a downtown feel compared to like Main Street and Federal Street would be more similar to what it would be like. Extending then the High Street extension to include housing up near Beta. So where High Street ends at around Sheldon Road there, going more north with that to create more of a neighborhood extension. Study the Village Drive extension. So that is Villages of Franklin Park West, the road there kind of dead ends, and there was an Act 250 restriction on that, but studying what it could be like if we were able to extend that. Now the health path is going through there, so. One project at a time. And then implementing like a complete street transformation. And these are things that would assist with ensuring that as we're building neighborhoods, we're building communities. We're not just building a house that someone's going to drive into their cul-de-sac and get in their house and then drive away to go to work. Creating this neighborhood where people feel connected to each other. They're able to park their car, get out of their car, walk to the other areas of the town, get their groceries, do their things. Lastly, the open space framework, establishing a guidance documentation for like those key habitat corridors and making sure that we understand where those corridors are, what properties they're on, creating a map that can help developers or property owners understand their land better when it comes to regulatory processes. Establishing a town recreational asset map that's similar to wayfinding, something that shows where things are, how you can get to them, and what you can get to it on that path or at the trails up in the town forest. And then the C was the incorporating the mapping for property owners. Projects that we could do would be the implementing the health path. We're moving forward with that project, hopefully with award of a grant, maybe. Making facility improvements to the MVRT access along Route 7, which is also an ongoing project that V-Trans has talked about. I think they're taking steps forward, but I haven't really heard much from them. And then creating a connection to St. Albans Bay. Now, they didn't study the Bay Area in this. They were really focused on the growth area, but they had so many comments from the public saying, we want to get down to the Bay on foot or on two wheels. There's no easy access at this point or safe access for bikes or pedestrians. So creating that connection to the St. Albans Bay would then even open up even more opportunities for recreation. The health path, you could ride from St. Johnsbury all the way to St. Albans Bay if that were to happen. So diving into those implementation strategies, creating a zoning and related regulatory framework that aligns with those policies is the next step of this grant. Investing in the infrastructure and connectivity that supports denser development while transforming the suburban development patterns over time, putting in place those public-private partnerships that are really going to be needed over the next long while to get these developments done, because they're very, as you guys know, roads are really expensive. The CHIP program is a great way to do that, where we can come into a partnership with a private entity, a developer that wants to do housing, and we're able to build roads, do stormwater infrastructure with money from the state and the developer and us all together. Addressing the statewide shortage of essential workforce by not only encouraging the construction of these missing middle homes, but also improving like access to transit and different housing types throughout the town. And then lastly, ensuring that the local capacity to oversee these is manageable by possibly creating this gateway district with the mixed use and welcome centers. This is just what I just said, but in a checklist form. I had 2 slides on it. And this is things that are in the plan. This is nice because it really breaks it down into two-page tables that explain what the recommendations are and how we can get there to do that. That's what I have. Okay.
Any questions? We're talking about housing, CHIP and all that stuff. We've got 2 large developments proposed on the south end. Harborview. As a planning commission and as a town, we should be looking for a road out to 104 to take all that stuff. I mean, Fairfax Street, all those, if these new houses come in, I mean, you're really putting a lot of burden on the streets we got now. And I think that's one of the big complaints that everybody has with these new is the traffic. And that should be, in my mind, something we should really be looking at is another access onto 104 so they can go Georgia.
The other way. Yeah, that is, one of the,
A lot of cars when you get.
yeah, one of the options in the implementation is to do an official map, which would then, and we've looked at it briefly, and we've actually had a developer that proposed the Prospect Hill. The DRB asked them to look at that as well. There's some issues with conserved land up there and wetlands, things like that. It's not a no. Well, it might be a no from them, but it's not a no from a town perspective at this point. But that official map would really, or could possibly look at those connections, and especially because that whole area, like you were saying, that whole area just dumps onto 7. Everything just goes out into 7, and it really puts a burden on 7, the road infrastructure and the homes that are on that side.
Cars,
Yes,
Fairfax.
and right, our roads as well. So that is something that, one of the biggest things is that mobility network looks at expanding what we have. There's so many roads that currently have the opportunity to connect Tanglewood and whatever that road is adjacent to it, that has a right of way through it, just never connected. Those types of things were evaluated and said, yeah, there's a problem, that there's too much capacity going to this area. It needs to be spread out.
Also, what we've seen up there on Harborview, I suspect these new developments, the price of those homes way out of reach for.
Yeah, and it's
anybody to share
interesting.
now.
It's interesting how that works. When you have the new homes, typically then the people that are buying those new homes have vacated a home that they no longer want, but then that missing middle can acquire. So it's kind of a chicken before the egg. Which comes first?
I was gonna say, Megan, because I think Jack was out there and then we went out, that, whatever it was in July of 2024. And I think that, a couple things I'd learned, but one of the coolest things, I hope it'll be in the report, is all the different maps that you guys
Yeah,
had
the
up, right? There were so many different maps, which is probably the best way to convey a lot of that information, right? As we're trying to put it together. One of the other things and it's kind of an aside back to what Jack was saying, one of the things I took from it was, 100 years ago, development was kind of grid style, right? Like St. Albans City and Montreal, cities like, well, not that St. Albans and Montreal are the same, but you know what I mean?
Very simple.
So that kind of grid, multiple ways in and out. And then I think I had learned maybe in the 60s and 70s or 80s or so, went to more of a cul-de-sac type pattern, which gave more safety on your road. But it didn't allow for, it doesn't allow for movement well. And I think of like Harborview and, God forbid the assisted living facility. I mean, God, if they had a fire or something and the fire trucks were up there, they would block that road. Like no one would be able to get in or out of Harborview. Connecting it to 104, as Jack's saying, would make a lot of sense for a lot of different reasons, safety, but also, I mean, if you're in Harborview, as the bird flies, you're not very far from the complex to pick your kid up at 10:30 after hockey practice. But you gotta drive all the way around to get over there. There's those pieces. In terms of like the southern and northern growth areas, and again, this kind of goes back to a little bit of what Jack's saying. We've got these developments there. Refresh my memory here on what does the zoning look like currently? Is it already able to have the kind of development that you have? Or I'm assuming you may talk about extra or different changes to it that we would have. And then a related question, and this just kind of comes up because of Montpelier, but how much control do we really have versus what the state is mandating? My understanding is like some of the projects that are up, we've heard from some residents about it, but my understanding is there's not much a town can do anyway. It's the state has opened the door to all types of development. I mean, if we could, again, wave a magic wand and have everything look like it did up there, that'd be awesome. Have a walkable, all this, but how do we get there? How much control do we have? What can we actually do? I probably asked you 13 questions, so.
sorry.
Pick
yeah.
pick your top 5. Yeah.
So currently the zoning, the planning commission's been great over the last 3 years or so. We've been doing, as you guys know, because you've also had the hearings, we've been doing little steps to get there. We've increased our mixed use capabilities. We've decreased our setbacks. We've decreased lot sizes. It's just, there's more to go. There's more opportunities for us to allow higher density closer to the city center. And then buffer that out towards those single family homes so that you're not putting large apartment complexes in the middle of single family neighborhoods. It creates kind of like a nice buffer out from the area. So current zoning does allow much of it now. What we're looking at doing though would be creating zoning that would incentivize more building, more space. You have less open space that you have to account for if there's a large park in the neighborhood. Those types of incentives to give developers the tools they need that we're able to give them at a zoning level to build those mixed use developments. As for the state, it's not bad. I mean, what they're doing is along the same lines of what we're trying to do. So their regulations aren't hindering us at this point. Honestly, they're pushing us faster to get the smaller lot sizes and the reform to our zoning than maybe we would have before. So, but I can't speak for any future things that are going to come down that might hinder us in certain ways. But I think our planning commission and you guys are pretty apt at, once something comes down from Montpelier, making sure that we understand how it affects the town of St. Albans and what we have to do to abide by their rules and make sure that we're still protecting the residents as much as we can.
And I just will add, Montpelier is pushing, because we need about 40,000 units in across the state. St. Albans Town has been fortunate the last 20 years. We've grown, 2,000 in population. We're now the largest municipality in Franklin County. We're very attractive to people that want to move up here because it's more affordable than Chittenden County. But we also have the potential of things coming in for a grand list. The state of Vermont wants us to build more closer, like Megan said, closer to our city centers, more dense housing. Because we need the units, we need them fast. Where does it make sense to do it? Where we have water and wastewater, and we have those in our growth centers. So I know they've done a fantastic job in their office adapting and figuring out what the state wants. But it is going to change as we come. There's going to be, hopefully, I say hopefully because it's my own personal belief. I hope that they can reform Act 250 and we'll see some changes there, but we're going to be able to adapt when that comes. But there's a whole bunch of opportunity for the town of St. Albans. Going back to the bike and ped path, I think that's another thing to attract people to our town. It's another thing that it's going to say, hey, we have recreation here. We can compete with towns like Colchester and other places in Chittenden County. We've got the complex and Hardack and all these places that other communities do not have. We are very fortunate to have such great places for people to use. So we are attractive and, it's cheap. It's cheaper to live up here than it is in other places. And yet we're still connected with 89 to Montreal, to Burlington, to, Lake Champlain. So we're going to have to adapt because the state is going to try to get more housing because they just know what kind of crisis we're in, because the rest of the country is dealing with the same stuff. So we're not just competing with Chittenden County, we're competing with New York and Massachusetts and stuff. So for us to be, we want to keep the money and all the tax money in and keep it growing. We have to continue to grow and grow responsibly. And I think we've done that great as a community. The state doesn't want to see sprawl. They don't like the sprawl out. They want to keep it all confined. So that's kind of where we're kind of focusing on those two growth centers. So, and a lot of the stuff you probably won't see in our lifetime, but it's really good to see where it could go. I think those maps that they provided were pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, Megan, in a way, in my mind, right? I mean, Act 250 is super complicated. I feel like Act 250 is kind of says no. It's kind of what it does, right? In a lot of ways. So I know they've rolled
Yes, but
that back a lot
But I mean, the key thing I think is, I mean, cause like right now up on, you know, the land near exit 19 and all of that. I mean, if someone wanted to come in and buy all that up and put whatever they want on it, they can, right? Okay. So I mean, I guess, I'd be really interested in learning more about what we can do to say yes or shape it or make it, you know, those incentives you said. I mean, I assume that chip might be an arrow in the quiver that we could use to
Yeah.
get
it's
things
a-
to go one way.
It's
or-
good for developers to learn about how they can improve, get utilities, improve existing roads and structures and get utilities and other places into development. So we talked about, you know, Parsons, that project. Chip money can be used to improve the streets to make them safer, wider, get street lamps if they wanted. It helps with stormwater projects. There's money for bringing water into places. Like we said, we would like to eventually bring water down to the bay. And one of the best ways to do it would be utilizing chip and have state of Vermont pay developers to put in, you know, housing down Lake Street so we can, you know, bring water down here without having to pay $1 and grow our grand list at the same time.
Go ahead, Casey.
Yeah.
Wish it was that easy.
I wish it was that easy too.
No, I guess my comment is I'm not a developer, but so much of this plan, and why I think it would have to go so slow is because you actually have to shift people's mindsets.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to build a house in town. I want to build a house in the country.
Yeah.
But if you put all our housing stock in town, whatever town means, but then that's what's going to be available to buy, and people make a decision, do I want to live in a town or do I want to live in the country? And for 40 years, at least, people have been moving out of towns.
Yeah, it seems to be going the opposite direction. Young or early 20s college kids are moving to these like Austin, Texas type of towns where it's exciting and fun and they're all together
Yep.
and they're all, so, you know, we're gonna grow. People are gonna move here. We still have the housing out, you know, in our areas, and that's why we're not, you know, changing the zoning of the whole town to only allow housing in those areas,
Right.
but we still allow 1 acre zoning or have, you know, 1 acre zoning or, unless you have water and sewer, and then the state makes us subdivide it, but, we still have those. And that's what's so nice about the town, right? That we have both. We have the opportunity to do both. We just have to facilitate and incentivize the more denser, because those are harder to build. You're not going to, they're more expensive. It's way more expensive to build a mixed use building than a single family home. Your return on investment is so fast on that single family home. It might be more for the mixed use, but it's
Right.
so sorry to the people. But it might be, upfront costs
Yeah.
are much harder.
Yeah, for sure.
You saw it happen here in St. Albans over the years. You know, when I was a kid, you used to ride your bike out High Street. All your friends lived in these nice big old houses. And now you look up around the hills of St. Albans and all those people in the big houses moved up there.
Mhm.
And they made 4 apartments out of every one of the houses that were single family homes.
Yeah.
So it just keeps rolling. And they wanna have a nice house in the town, but they wanna control 100 acres around it.
Right,
They move in and now nobody else can come. Got that to give.
right. They should buy all that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
So there's still a final report to be finished and then,
Yes. And then a full presentation to you guys on the final report will happen. And then we'll, during that time, we'll be moving forward with the zoning recommendations, and you guys, we'll keep you guys updated on.
yeah.
That's
And
going.
my 2 cents be include as many of those maps as you can. I
Yeah,
just
so
think they're very-
I didn't include in my.
That's fine. I mean,
like,
there were,
there's a whole
couple dozen of
section on analysis, and there's lots of maps. I love maps. I'm a
Yeah.
map girl, but
I think it just shows where everything is and
yeah,
how it interacts and
Yeah.
each other. So
the analysis section is very cool. I'll send it to you. You like
thank you.
maps.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan.
Megan. Thank you. Oh. Sure. Thank you.
Okay, next up, town manager's report. Casey, take it away.
We got just a couple things for you. There is something you'll need to sign. Certification, no appeals or suits pending. It's basically from, this just requires signatures of the full board. States that we have no appeals pending from the action of the assessors, nor suits to recover taxes paid under protest. So do you have that? I believe you do up there,
Need a
Jonathan.
motion?
Can we say that?
I know motion is needed. You just need to sign that we have.
Okay, just,
Can we say what we're signing? I don't.
yeah, it's right
Yeah.
there. You-
Yeah, you'll see, it's just, it just lets you know that,
We don't have
There's no
any
appeals.
litigation.
yeah. Like our grand list is all up to stuff. We went to the State House. A couple members of the fire department went to the State House on Friday. Celebrating 50 years of our fire department. We got a resolution read by the clerk of the house. The house gave us a nice little ceremony for it, and we were able to give a couple of the firefighters tour of the State House and stuff like that. So they got to see that, but they're gonna get it. They got a piece of paper. It's just a proclamation. It's a resolution. We're gonna get it framed and hung up at the fire station for you to see. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good accomplishment that we
Yeah,
have
it's cool.
good 50 solid years of our fire department, and they celebrated that last year. So the state just recognized them. So that's going down.
Probably put that on the website too or something.
Yeah, I have pictures of, we're gonna put them on the
I mean,
face.
the Messenger did an article already, I believe, right, on the 50th?
Yeah, on the
So-
50th, yeah. And so we'll put pictures up on our Facebook and on our website, and people
Awesome.
can see.
Yep.
And then the last thing is just the Stewart Shop informational Act 250 permit, I believe was approved. So it's just for your
Mhm.
eyes to see. And that's all I have from us. They've been working really hard on this build grant. I'm really hopeful to give Kevin something to do other than stormwater, even though stormwater is included in this project, because he's been working really hard on this, and basically he's been on since May and he's only done stormwater projects.
Yeah.
So, and his services, they're both fantastic, and just like to get them to work on something that's meaningful for the town.
Yep.
You know, stormwater's still meaningful, but it's not as exciting.
That is light.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's all I got.
Anybody have any other business? Hearing none, the next select board meeting is Monday, March 2nd. And Monday, March 16th, both starting at 6:30, and the March 2nd meeting will be primarily the informational meeting for fiscal year 27 budget and ballot articles. And we don't need an executive session tonight.
No, she just included that just in case.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Second. Right, whatever it takes.
Sounds like all in favor.
I'm in favor.
Right.
All for this.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Jen.
Welcome.